Hi everyone, I'm Yang. Welcome to Tea House, China Radio International's online video talk show. Sino-Russian relations are undergoing a transformation as both are emerging or re-emerging the powers. Are China and Russia true partners? How do China and Russia see each other? What is the future of China, Russia, and global governance? Dmitritrenin, director of the Carnegie Moscow Center, will join us to talk about the role of China-Russian relations in global governance at Tea House in Beijing. Before we get started, let's take a look at a brief video to learn more about Dmitritrenin.
Dmitritrenin, director of the Carnegie Moscow Center, has been with the organization since its inception in 1994. He also chairs the center's Research Council and the Foreign and Security Policy Program. He retired from the Russian Army in 1993. From 1993 to 1997, Trenin held a post as a senior research fellow at the Institute of Europe in Moscow. And in 1993, he was a senior research fellow at the NATO Defense College in Rome. Dmitritrenin joined Tea House last November to talk about his book, Post-Imperium. This May, he brought his new book, True Partners: How Russia and China See Each Other, to Beijing before Russian President Vladimir Putin's first state visit to China after resuming power.
Well, Dmitry, welcome back to Tea House.
Thank you. Glad to be with you.
And do you like the Chinese tea?
Well, it's great. It's a different tea from last time, but it's great.
As you know that Russian President Vladimir Putin is going to pay his first state visit to China after resuming power. What agreements on energy cooperation will be achieved during this visit?
Visits of that kind are not for negotiations. They are for finalizing, actually signing agreements that are prepared ahead of the visit. I'm sure that some agreements will be signed. I don't believe there'll be any major breakthroughs at this point, but what I understand from what I see is that Mr. Putin will be very interested in sitting down with the Chinese leadership to discuss the future of Sino-Russian relations.
And what other issues will be on top of his agenda?
Of course, economics will be center stage. I said personalities and the continuation of their bilateral relationship will be very important. But they will also spend time to discuss the various crises and other situations around the world.
Putin's decision not attending the G8 summit and send Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev as stand-in has seen by many as a bold snap to Washington and has raised important questions to the Russian leader's motivations. What's your opinion on this?
I think that Putin is looking forward to a productive relationship with Obama and his administration. I don't know why Putin decided not to go. I don't think anyone does except for Putin himself. My own analysis suggests that it's more likely the result of the difficulty that Putin has had with balancing the interests of the various Russian clans and various personalities who work for Putin as he was forming Russia's new cabinet.
Putin is also going to attend the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, or SCO, during his visit in China. What changes will Putin bring to the summit of SCO?
Well, the SCO is working on some changes to its internal organization. I don't believe that those changes at this point will be of fundamental importance. There are some, but they are more to be important and yet moderate in their impact. I believe that the SCO will remain an important forum from Russia's perspective for discussing especially security issues in continental Asia, a forum for Sino-Russian collaboration on the continent of Asia.
Well, thank you for your insights. It's tea time. Let's have a nice cup of Chinese tea and then talk about are China and Russia true partners?
The most important thing that joined our two countries are trade and economic ties.
We should move towards finding win-win solutions.
Build a bridge through drinking some real nice Chinese tea.
Oh, I could kill for a nice cup of tea.
Dmitry, welcome back to Tea House.
Thank you. Thank you again.
During the third term of Putin, how do you think Russia will shape the country's policy toward China?
Mr. Putin is very committed to upgrading and enhancing the relationship, especially economic relations between the two countries. So I don't think that there'll be much of a change. Putin is very, as I said, very committed to a stronger and fuller partnership relationship with China.
Do you think China and Russia are true partners?
Well, I think that they are partners. How true they are is, to me, is a question mark. This relationship should never be taken for granted. They are partners, and this is a huge achievement. And I hope that they will become true partners. The worst thing we can do at this point, I think, is to state wrongly that the relationship has no problems, that it's all fine, that China and Russia are friends and will always be friends. I think this is the worst attitude that anyone can take to the relationship. I think you need to realize that you need to work for bettering the relationship, improving the relationship for common benefit on almost a daily basis.
Okay, thank you very much for your insights, Dmitry. It's tea time. Please enjoy another cup of Chinese tea, and then we'll talk about China, Russia, and global governance.
The most important thing that joined our two countries are trade and economic ties.
We should move towards finding win-win solutions.
Build a bridge through drinking some real nice Chinese tea.
Oh, I could kill for a nice cup of tea.
Dmitry, welcome back to Tea House.
Thank you. Thank you again.
Well, what do you think are the similarities between China and Russia?
Well, in terms of global governance, I think they come with a set of interests that are compatible. They come with political philosophies of their leaderships that are broadly similar as far as international affairs are concerned. I think that they see themselves as being impacted upon by the West, being in a position of off-center partners for the West, and that I think is also similar.
What about the differences?
China, of course, is rising, and that's clear, and it's a power that will probably be more important tomorrow than it was yesterday. Russia is in the process of transformation. So, well, they have some specific interests that are different. Russia is a raw materials exporter, an energy exporter to the rest of the world. China is a net importer of energy. China imports raw materials, so they are sitting on different chairs on that one.
Then why do you think these two nations should take global governance more seriously?
For Russia and China to play a larger role in the world, they need to realize that it's not only about power, it's also about engagement. How much you engage with the international community, how much you propose solutions to global or regional issues, how successful you are at promoting those solutions, how you network with other countries around the world, how much soft power you have to attract other people to your point of view. So those things, I believe, are the elements of the 21st century leadership. They need to engage more, and they engage by showing that they care for global interests of the international community.
What are the impacts of the West on global governance?
Well, the West essentially has been leading the international community until very recently. You may say it's still largely leading the international community. But the role of the West has decreased and will continue to decrease as in relative terms as other centers of power, other nations emerge. China, India, Brazil, Mexico, Argentina, South Africa, many countries, Indonesia, around the world, will be more important tomorrow than they are today. In fact, I would say this is the ultimate success of Western policies of globalization, Western impetus for modernization. More and more people are becoming globalized. More and more nations are becoming modern. and more nations claim to have a role in how the world is run. This is fine. This is great, I think.
How will China and Russia change the world order in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think that as far as China is concerned, a lot will depend on how China will manage its own economy. This is the biggest impact that China has on the international system. And I think the eyes of the world are very much on China these days. You have Eurozone woes in Europe, you have very sluggish growth in the United States. So a lot of people will be asking the question how China manages. I believe that China, which has been doing fine in economic global governance, needs to broaden the scope and think more about security, the whole range of security issues, including all the way from nuclear security to regional security.
Well, Dmitry, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you so much.
With me.
Thank you.
I sincerely hope that Putin's visit to China in early June can make fruitful achievements, and the relationship between China and Russia can be stronger and stronger. Thanks again for joining our program.
Thank you.